Saurabh, and today, along with my group, we will be discussing about green chemistry and two of its principles, that is, catalysis and use of renewable feedstock. Green chemistry, also known as sustainable chemistry, is a part of chemical engineering focused on designing of products and processes to minimize the use and generation of hazardous substances. The first principles that we are going to be talking about is catalysis, which is going to be explained by Asmit and Mohit.
Hello everyone, I am Ashmit. Here I am going to explain the one of the principle of green chemistry, that is principle number 9, that is catalysis. This principle states that the catalytic reagents are selective as possible and are more superior to stoichiometric reagents. In a synthesis, the term stoichiometry referred to a simple ratio between the reagents and the chemical reaction.
The term catalytic refers to a substance that speed up a chemical reaction. A catalyst is something that participates in the chemical reaction but does not undergo permanent change. The term selective here means that the reaction happens on a location on the molecule where we want it and only where we want it.
To illustrate these terms, let us consider the following examples. Let's say you have a group of babies and you want to put shoe on them. Putting 8 shoe on 4 baby yield 4 baby with shoe. In this case, the stoichiometric ratio between the shoe and the baby is 8:4. The lowest term, the ratio between the shoe and the baby is 2:1.
However, simply giving the shoes to babies is unlikely to give a desired outcome because babies lack the motor skill to put shoes on their own feet. In chemistry, the term babies are unreactive toward shoes. Only there was someone to speed up the process, some helper like a catalyst. So if we add an adult to the situation, the adult can put shoes on the first baby, then the second baby, then the third baby.
We achieve our desired outcome much faster with the help of an adult. And at the end, adult is unchanged by the process of putting shoe on the baby's feet. Just like how catalyst is unchanged during a chemical reaction, it is easy to say catalysts make change chemical reaction spontaneous. But in the green chemistry sense, why it is preferable to use stoichiometric reagents?
To answer this question, we will turn to an example from organic chemistry. We want to react a ketone with a hydrogen to get our desired product, alcohol.
However, a mixture of just ketone and hydrogen do not react with each other. One solution to this problem is to use more reactive source by hydrogen, namely sodium borohydride followed by water. By employing these pair of reagents, we can synthesize our desired product. However, because we use stoichiometric amount of sodium borohydride on water, we generate the stoichiometric amount of waste.
The atom economy of this reaction leaves much to be desired, as we want to avoid producing waste. For a number of reasons, depending on the nature of the waste product, it may adversely affect humans and the environment. If we are producing waste, it means we are spending reaction, space, time, and money on material that is ultimately not incorporated into our joint product.
Furthermore, if the waste into our joint product we are not being as sufficient as we could have better solution to our chemical problem is to combine ketone and hydrogen and a catalyst such as palladium on carbon. This combination of reagents give the desired product as the adult helper in the first example, or as the shoe that they put on the baby's feet. The catalyst orient hydrogen so that it's incorporate into the ketone to form the desired products.
No waste is generated and the catalyst can be filtered out and can be used. So, when we are given a choice between a stoichiometric reagent and catalytic reagent, be green and always choose catalytic reagent.
Now, the next principle, that is, use of renewable feedstock, is going to be explained to us by Vatsal and Chirag.
My name is Vatsal Pandey and I am going to explain about the principle 7 of green chemistry, that is use of renewable feedstock. A raw material or feedstock should be renewable rather than depleting whenever technically and economically practicable.
A raw material is similar to an ingredient. It is the basic substance starting or in semi-process, not yet the final product. So, if we consider cookie as the example of the final product, then one of these feedstock will be sugar.
Another example, we can also consider sugar as a final product. Plants make sugar as the photosynthesis, and one of the feedstock they use is CO2 or carbon dioxide.
When we talk about raw materials or feedstock being renewable, we mean that they can be replenished on a human time scale. Many common feedstock cannot be replenished this quickly, such as coal, natural gas, oil, and minerals. All of these finite resources are being used up by the human activities and will take many thousands or even millions of years to replenish.
Other hand, an example of a renewable feedback is biomass, meaning any material derived from a living organism, usually plants. When biomass is used as a feedstock, new plants can be grown relatively quickly to replenish that resource. In other words, the feedstock is renewable on a human time scale.
Now that we know the meaning of the renewable feedstocks, let's consider why it is important to use these whenever possible, instead of feedstocks from depleting resources. Basically, the end goal is to have a steady and continuous supply of resources for the future.
Crude oil, for example, which is a feedstock for many products. Oil has formed underground through very slow natural processes. We simply can't wait millions of years for new oil deposits to form. It is easier to plant and harvest biomass than to wait that long. So how does this apply to chemistry in a lab?
Well, the type of the feedstocks can also be considered when we are choosing the components in a reaction, such as reagents and solvents. Let's look at the two solvents as an example of the renewable feedstocks.
Popular ether solvent used in chemistry labs is tetrahydrofuran or THF for short. However, the synthesis of THF industrially is made from fossil fuels, which are not renewable.
An alternative to THF is 2-methyl tetrahydrofuran or 2-methyl THF, which has a very similar structure to THF and has very similar properties as an ether solvent. But 2-methyl THF has the benefit of being synthesized from biomass, which is renewable resource.
Reactions might specify an ether solvent, but we can carefully choose which either solvent to implement a little bit of green chemistry every day. The substitution of THF for 2-methyl THF in our reaction is just one way in which we can put Principle 7 into action.